universities in Gaza. We cannot judge their current output because they are demolished, they are destroyed. Even yesterday, they came into 2 universities here in Bethlehem area and entered it. The military just walking around, show off who's boss, and that you don't have freedom of speech or freedom of academia. This is what the idea of Zionism is, to change a pluralistic and diverse society. Before 1948, we had 44 languages spoken in Palestine. You want to take such a country and you want to make it the Jewish state with one language, one culture, and one even landscape, European landscape. An idea of transforming a pluralistic society to make it a Jewish state by ethnic cleansing and by genocide. Even yesterday, I was harassed by settlers when I was going out to study plants in the north near Nablus. So there's attack on us within the context of this one state called the Jewish state of Israel, which is a racist apartheid state.
Today, I spoke to Mazin Qumsiyeh, a Palestinian scientist who was recently nominated for the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize for his dedication to peace, nonviolence, and environmental sustainability. Qumsiyeh has held faculty positions at several U.S. institutions as well as in Palestine. He has authored over 160 scientific papers and several books exploring themes of Palestinian struggle, human rights, and environmental sustainability. A vocal advocate for Palestinian rights, he has co-founded Palestinian rights organizations and participates in several nonviolent and resistant efforts against occupation. Yes, so having lived and worked in both the United States and Palestine, how do you compare the discourse on Palestine in Western academic and political circles in contrast to on the ground in Palestine?
Well, I mean, first we have to set, some background. The background is, of course, we had 79, almost 80-year-old colonization of Palestine that resulted in 8.5 million of us Palestinians are refugees or displaced people. This is one of the worst colonial activities in the 20th and 21st century, basically. And the last colonial activity that's still ongoing with ethnic cleansing, genocide, ecocide, scholasticide, destruction of our universities, destruction of our educational system, destruction of our people, and so on. This is the context we are talking about. In terms of intellectual discourse around it, of course, you cannot make generalizations, neither about Palestinian academic activities about it or about global academic discourse about it. Different universities, different scholars treat it according to their interests and according to their subjugation to the colonial system. So you will have variation that are everywhere. You have in the West people like Edward Said, who is dead now, but he had significant contribution to anti-colonial struggles and work on issues like Orientalism and so on. In the Arab world, of course, you had also similar high-capacity intellectuals at universities and academia that did some good work and continue to do good work. Some of them have departed. Some of them are still with us. Some new generation is also coming up. So the same thing for Western countries. Now, if your question is relating to the constraints in Western countries, of course, Western countries are constrained by the hegemony of the Zionist lobby, which has infiltrated every corner of Western discourses, including academia. And so they are able to twist the arm of universities like Columbia University to persecute faculty and students that speak out for human rights. That's par for the course, as I say, when you have a strong Zionist lobby. Um, you talk about Palestinian universities or Palestinian academia or Israeli university, Israeli academia. Each again has its set of circumstances and limitations and so forth. Universities in Gaza, we cannot judge their current output because they are demolished, they are destroyed. So, what can you say about that? It's finished, basically. Academia in the West Bank are under the watchful eye of the Israeli military. Even yesterday, they came into two universities here in Bethlehem area and entered it. The military just walking around, show off who's boss, and that you don't have freedom of speech or freedom of academia or anything else.
I want to shift to your work specifically, in which you have founded the Palestine Institute of Biodiversity and Sustainability and the Palestine Museum of Natural History with Bethlehem University. The environmental impact of the occupation is often overlooked. So, can you discuss some factors like settlement expansion, resource control, and land confiscation, and how they have affected Palestinian agricultural and ecosystems?
Well, I mean, like all colonialists, whether colonialists in Australia who created what's called Australia or who created what's now called the United States of America, did a lot of damage to the local environment and the local people. They destroy nature, they destroy communities, whether they are animal and plant communities or human communities that existed before. That's the nature of colonialism. So if you look at, for example, percent of the land that was covered by virgin forests in the United States before the invasion of European colonizers, and what happened after, and the current situation of virgin forests, they're in a very tiny portion of the US continental areas. So it is par for the course. The colonizers change even courses of rivers. They do a lot of damage on the environment. They bring invasive species with them. Australia environment has been devastated since the British beginning to colonize that continent, and the same thing in areas like New Zealand or other countries. Hundreds of countries really were colonized and their environment damaged. If you want to know about the environmental damage in Palestine, we don't have too much time to go through it. It's available on our website and research papers that we published in detail about how the colonizers have totally wrecked our environment, from diversion of the water of the Jordan River Basin to draining wetlands to destroying millions of trees and planting foreign trees, pine trees, to replace the local indigenous trees that they uprooted, to bring in invasive species, to pollution, industrial settlements, to the wars and its impact on the environment. We publish papers on just about every one of those topics, and you can read more about it on our website, which is palestinenature.org. Under research, you can find this data.
So, you have criticized Zionism as a political ideology. How do you see that narratives around Zionism have shifted in recent years, and how has this affected what we are seeing currently in Gaza?
Well, Zionism is a very simple idea. It's an idea that you want to take a country that's multi-ethnic, multicultural, multi-religious, multilingual, and has certain landscape with diversity of animals and plants, and you want to make it a Jewish state that's mimicking Europe and with European landscape, basically like pine trees and thatched roof, red roofed houses, and for Europeans. And so you destroy the indigenous people, etc. This is what the idea of Zionism is: to change a pluralistic and diverse society, biologically diverse, and human diversity. We had human diversity here, multi-ethnic, multicultural, multi-religious, and even multilingual. Before 1948, we had 44 languages spoken in Palestine. You want to take such a country and you want to make it the Jewish state with one language, one culture, and one even landscape, European landscape, similar to Northern Europe, Poland, and Hungary, and those countries. This, of course, is the idea of Zionism. So, what is to criticize about it? Well, I mean, there's a lot to be criticized about such ideas. The same that I criticize the ideas of European colonization in South Africa or US or Australia or any other place where indigenous people and nature suffer from these ideas of colonization, because they are racist ideas and they're destructive ideas, destructive to people, destructive to nature, destructive to our planet, basically. And so that's natural for rational people. They don't even have to be indigenous people like me to complain about this. They only need to be rational human beings looking at the impact to understand why this is an idea that is destructive and that is harmful.
Many universities have been adopting the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, which is anti-Semitism is a certain perception of Jews which may be expressed as hatred towards Jews. Rhetorical and physical manifestations of anti-Semitism are directed toward Jewish or non-Jewish individuals and/or their property, toward Jewish community institutions and religious facilities. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this definition, but do you believe that this definition may be controversial?
Well,
Uh,
this is not the full definition that you read. I read the whole thing. The whole thing has specific examples
mhm,
of what they consider anti-Semitism. They include, for example, if anybody speaks of, let's say, democracy and secular democratic state in Palestine between the river and the sea, they
mhm,
consider that anti-Semitism because it's talking about dismantling so-called Jewish state.
mhm,
It's like anybody who spoke against South Africa apartheid and wanted a democratic secular state in South Africa would have been considered at the time to be anti-white. That would be the definition that's given, that you are anti-white because you are proclaiming the need for ending apartheid and for equal rights, for justice, for human rights. This is the problem with that definition. It's cleverly written with specific examples that are not so cleverly written. But anyways, it's a definition that's written by Zionists for Zionists to promote Jewish supremacy, Jewish hegemony, in and that's what Zionism is about. Anyway, that's what the idea of this IHR or whatever definition is. It is not a rational definition. Intellectuals have opposed it Scientists have opposed it. Many Jews have opposed it. Jewish intellectuals have opposed it. Many Christian intellectuals have opposed it. Many Muslim intellectuals have opposed it. I oppose it certainly as somebody who thinks rationally and who thinks that Israel is not, is not Judaism. Zionism is not Judaism. Judaism is a religion. Judaism is not a nationality. This is illogical as a geneticist, as a biologist, as a scientist. It's illogical to try and equate Judaism with Zionism and equate criticism of Zionism and even being anti-Zionist with being anti-Jewish. You can be anti-apartheid in South Africa and not be anti-white, so to speak. That would be a silly notion. Or in the case of Nazism, to be anti-Nazi does not mean you're anti-German or the Aryan people.
Right, right. And so, as universities adopt this definition, do you think it will affect academic institutions?
It's already affecting academic institutions. The Western countries have been for decades now being systematically infiltrated by people who are interested in promoting racism and denying free speech. And you can, in the United States, for example, or in Germany for that matter, in Germany, you can speak against God, but you're not allowed to speak against Israel or against Zionism. This has been the case for decades. It's just been intensifying year after year because of the strength of the lobbies in those countries gaining momentum. That's all that there is to it. And this definition we talked about is just one tool they use. They use many other tools, of course, for that, and that's totally understandable. If you're promoting a racist ideology, you want to use all the tools at your disposal to promote racist ideologies, from labeling resistance as terrorism to labeling anybody who criticizes racism as being anti-Jewish or as somehow anti-Semitic. These are all tools they use. They are understandable tools when you don't have any other tools. I mean, logically, how else are you going to defend Zionism? There's no other way, there's no other way to defend the idea that I explained earlier, an idea of transforming a pluralistic society to make it a Jewish state by ethnic cleansing and by genocide. How are you going to defend this idea? You have to use these tools at your disposal, including infiltration, academia and media, in the highest political levels by extortions of politicians like Jeffrey Epstein and his bringing in, both politicians and CEOs of companies and also university presidents, we have to remember, bringing them in, having them do whatever they want to underage girls and whatever, and then videotaping those and using to blackmail them to ensure they follow what the Mossad wants them to follow. And Jeffrey Epstein and his partner Maxwell were both Mossad agents, as already revealed by ex-Mossad agents. So I think it's understandable. Again, you don't have to judge these things as good, bad, or evil, but you can certainly understand the logic of using those weapons, weaponizing anti-Semitism, weaponizing the idea of resistance as terrorism, weaponizing the logic of money and power and extortion to make sure that politicians and media and others say the right things or say what you want them to say something positive about Zionism and something negative about the victims of Zionism, the indigenous people of Palestine.
So, my next question is related to the academic freedoms and the student protest. I'm sure you've heard about Mahmoud Khalil, who has been detained by the Trump administration for being suspected of being connected to Hamas. He was the leading figure of in the pro-Palestinian movement at Columbia University. In your opinion, how does this case jeopardize the integrity of American universities, academic freedom, and free speech?
Well, there was a guy by the name of Niebuhr at the time of the Nazis who said that first they came for I don't know, the communists. I was not a communist, so I didn't. Then they came for the Jews. I was not a Jew, so I didn't speak out. Then they came for this and that. And then at the end, when they came for me, there was nobody else to defend me. So this is the danger of this. The danger of this is if Mahmoud Khalil and other Palestinians and others, by the way, they went after even non-Palestinians, an Indian person, a Chinese student, simply for expressing their opinions about the situation. There's no free speech going to be left in the US. Colombia, let's be very clear, Colombia is the sacrificial lamb to scare off other universities. That's why the US government picked Colombia as an example. Basically, they want to run it as an example. They want to deny federal aid to Colombia, federal grants for research. It had nothing to do with politics, by the way, research in medicine, etc. They want to extort, shake down Colombia, make it subjugated. And already Colombia was subjugated even before Trump took office, as you know, because its president had to resign and many others. There was a lot of silencing of free speech at Colombia, and even Colombia calling the New York police to arrest people and break up demonstrations illegally. They're not supposed to do this. This is before the Trump era. Trump is just upping the ante to make it basically an example for other universities to silence free speech, beginning with the issue of Palestine, because then he has the support of the Zionists. But this will not stop at the issue of Palestine. And it will go on to silencing free speech about everything, from abortion to gay rights to everything. That it's possible to basically suppress any kind of freedom of speech.
That's all I have for you today, Mazin. Thank you for joining us on the Muslim Viewpoint. Is there anything else you would like to share or tell us where we might find you?
Yes, if I may just say that it's nice to do the kind of analysis that you and I engaged in and discussed. But ultimately, we have to talk about individual responsibility and what each of us can do and should be doing. This is a global problem. This is not a Palestinian quote or a Palestinian Israeli problem. This is a global problem. It could start World War III if you want, where we will all end up losing.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for the call to action. Yes, that's all I have for you today.